we're ready to start, Andrea. It is 6:30. I've got a minute.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to see all of you. My name is Andrea, and I'm the Executive Director from the Mark Center for Self-Directed Education. And we are here this evening to share with you a little bit about this model for teens and the experience specifically of the teens that are on the panel. So I want to tell you a little bit about Embark and how it kind of came to be, and then each of these brave folks, who I think are a little nervous, are going to share a bit about their stories. And we also have some parents who are here to be able to speak from a parent perspective. So I'll be introducing them as we get there, but let me go ahead and give you a little bit of background information first. So Embark came to be as a direct result of my experience teaching, quite frankly. So I was a teacher for 10 years. And in my experience as a teacher, I often felt like I was kind of doing a dog and pony show to try to, how can I help kids to take in this information that we feel is so vital and stuff it in their brains and make it meaningful and have them be engaged in their learning because of all of the brain research that we have and all of the information we know about what helps people to learn. Obviously, motivation is a key factor, and engagement with material is a key factor. And I was doing this dog and pony show, and most of my students, I think I have good relationships with most of my students. And then there were those that it was in spite of, the learning that would maintain the relationship. And because we had the relationship, they were able to make some attempts at the learning, but they really weren't engaged themselves personally. They were doing it for me, or because someone told them to, or for someone else. And around the same time that all of this was going on, I have three children of my own, and my oldest child was a typical Loudoun County kind of high-achieving, jumped through the hoops that the Loudoun County Public Schools expected of him. He was always, how many AP classes do you want me to take? I'll take 4 more. How can I have this high GPA? And consequently was also under a great deal of stress. He's since gone on and was successful and by society standards and went to graduating this year from UVA. And again, by society standards, he's extremely successful. We could talk a lot about whether or not he's actually happy, but suffice it to say that he was that child of mine that I just was like, oh, well, this is what it means to have a child. They go through school and they do fine, love it, but they do just fine, and off they go to college, and that's just how life works. And that's how it worked for me, and that was how it had worked for my husband. And then along came my second daughter, who was very much a square peg in a round hole when it came to a traditional learning environment. And so my kids had all started off in Montessori school, so as it was, we had sort of stepped out of the traditional environment. And even with all of the freedom and flexibility afforded her in Montessori, she just wanted to read when she wanted to read, and she just wanted to do art when she wanted to do art. She didn't want to have to do the math when somebody said it was, you needed to do the math. And so for a while, realizing that she didn't kind of fit in that mold was fine. She just, was a young and elementary aged kiddo, and she just kind of went forward and basically ignored what everyone asked her to do and did her own thing. But the older she got, more aware, she became that she was not meeting the expectations that other people had of her. And it wasn't for lack of ability, but her inability to engage and created an inability to be motivated. And that led to her continuing to just not engage in the way that is necessary if you're going to memorize large amounts of material, et cetera, et cetera. And so as she got older, this started to become something that she was conscious of. She became anxious, she became depressed at the worst, she talked about suicide, and all of these were just, as those of you that are parents can imagine, incredibly painful for us to kind of walk through. And we had no experience, we had no idea in our minds, okay, what can we do to make school work? How can we help you get through it? That was our primary goal. And as I said, I was also teaching, but I became more disillusioned as I was watching her. I was starting to see other students that I did not realize that that's what was going on. But I started to pay more attention to it.
Get frustrated.
And I honestly just got on the internet and searched what you do when your kid or something equally as eloquent as that. And I wound up going down that sort of rabbit hole of the internet that you probably have all gotten sucked into at one time or another. And in that rabbit hole, I stumbled across an author named Blake Bowles who had written a book called The Art of Self-Directed Learning. And I ordered it. It was written for teens. I ordered it hoping that maybe she would be somehow inspired if I left it casually laying around on the coffee table that maybe she'd wake up self-directed one day. And that actually isn't what happened. And she wouldn't even open the book. And so, but I read it and was sort of floored by the idea that our role as adults in the lives of teens is not necessarily to push them along or pull them along on some predetermined path, that actually creating a meaningful life now is well within their power and actually their right. And Blake had referred to places where you could do this if you were a parent who was like, well, that sounds great, I don't want to do it though. And so I searched out a place called North Star Self-Directed Learning for Teens. And it was a program that had started 25 years ago by two teachers who were in very similar situations to my own, where they had been working with kids and felt like, really what I want for my own life and for my own fulfillment and for my own meaningful career is not to spend my days just not being the worst teacher that my students have. When you have a student that comes to you and says, yeah, I don't really like school, but at least your class isn't so bad. This is not what we aspire to when we go to graduate school or wherever we go to get our teaching credentials. And so they had started North Star, and they've had a 25-year sort of history that is documentable and has been documented, and you can see sort of those outcomes. And I just sipped the Kool-Aid a little, and I called Ken and I sat in on the webinar, and I found out more and more about this, and I just kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm like, this all sounds great, but what do you mean anything you can do with a high school diploma you can do without one? Surely that can't be true. And what do you mean that anyone can direct their own learning and doesn't need to go to school? Surely that can't be true, because our society has plenty of examples that show us that that's just what we do. And as I started exploring more and learning about what so many people have done, I realized, wow, that's not to say school isn't a good fit for some people. Not everyone should leave school. School is a good fit for some people, but it shouldn't be the only option, because for some people it just isn't. And for my daughter, my middle daughter, that was the case. It was very much not a good fit. So I kept sipping the Kool-Aid. Eventually I took a few bigger gulps, which is what you need when you want to start a nonprofit. You really need a lot more than Kool-Aid. But I moved forward with the process of just exploring whether or not this option was even viable in Loudoun County. I mean, here we have this high achieving community where academic success and college preparation is the goal for so many people. And I thought, who's going to want to pull their kid out of school for some cockamamie reason with me? I mean, who's going to do that? And somehow, we had enough folks that seemed interested in the beginning, and we decided to roll the dice. So we went through the process of getting Embark started. And what was fascinating to me was that every single person with whom I spoke, whether it was potential future members or adults, or, you know, I was at this point talking to people in the grocery line, whoever would listen, I was talking to, and everyone, without fail, for the majority of the beginning part of the process, said to me, wow, I wish that had been around when I was a child, or I wish I'd had that for my son, or I wish, you know, I have a neighbor who, everybody knew someone and could connect with the very real story of people feeling like they don't fit in a traditional school paradigm. And that can look very differently, as you'll hear from our panelists. Why people don't feel like school is a fit varies from, I'm bored, I really love this topic and I want to run with it and I can't because I have to, you know, do a problem, and if I finish it before the rest of the class, read my book while I wait for everyone to catch up. Or I have to take these classes because that's what I'm told I have to take, and even if they're not interesting at all to me. That's one possibility. We have kids that were really academically capable and successful, but their anxiety as a result of school, or their anxiety for other reasons, whether it's social and emotional or whatever the reason, was so tremendous that it inhibited them from being able to participate in school in a way that was acceptable to the administration. We also have kids who had just plain decided, I'm not playing, you know, I've had enough people telling me I'm not successful, or I'm a bad kid because I don't like to sit still in a desk for 8 hours, or whatever the case may be. And sometimes those kids would behaviorally act out or just completely shut down. And so in those cases, it winds up becoming pretty punitive. And what we know is that there's a pipeline that goes right into the justice system for kids in those situations. And what we're trying to help people understand is that that's an unnecessary pipeline, that essentially there are options, and we owe it to our teams to provide them with options so that they can make empowered choices about living a meaningful life now, instead of waiting to live their life until after they reach some predetermined goal, whatever that may be, whether they graduate and go to college or get a good job or whatever it is we decided is of value. They don't need to wait until then to experience meaning. They can do that right now. So we're a part of a network that was started by North Star called Liberated Learners Network. And there are a number of centers like ours, modeled after North Star, that exist around the country in various stages of their own lifespan. And it's a wonderful opportunity for us because we get a chance to kind of brainstorm with like-minded people and get ideas and share ideas and share successes and share challenges and all of those things. And so we're new. We just opened in September. We started with 12 members and we are at 18, which tells you that apparently the demographic information was correct. There is a need in Loudoun County, and we get calls regularly about, you know, our program and what we do. And so we are just sort of moving along and trying to do our very best to help people to know that you can leave school and still live a meaningful life and be successful and determine for yourself what success looks like, because it does look different for every person. And so this is just sort of our opportunity to share our stories and tell you a little bit about the kinds of members that we have at Embark. And so just the way it works, because that's a typical question, so let me say the way Embark works before our members and parents share their stories. We're not a school, so the whole point is to help kids leave school because school isn't working. So we're not a school. We are like a resource center. Think of it almost like a YMCA or a gym or a library, right? And so our members pay a membership fee, and they can come to Embark to use resources or to be hooked up with resources. Most of, most of our members on this panel, not all, are full-time. And so that means they come 4 days a week. Most weeks they can come up to 4 days a week. Some of them, you know, have other things in their lives and we preclude them from coming on a certain day. But we have a full schedule of classes, so they can choose a class and take those classes. They're all non-compulsory, so they choose their classes based on their interests. They have a one-on-one mentor, an adult mentor that's on our staff that they meet with every week for the purpose of setting goals, talking through actions plans, discussing life challenges, and having just sort of someone to mentor and guide them along this path. Always giving the power back to them for the decisions that they make, but trying to give them some of the benefit of experiences that we may have had that might guide them along that path. So they have their mentor, they can take classes. Some folks, in fact, some of the ones here have interests that go beyond the classes that we have currently scheduled at Embark. So we help them up with other people in the community, whether it's other volunteers that either come in or classes that they can go to explore other interests further. Our goal is to help them realize that learning happens everywhere, every day in life, regardless of whether or not you're in a building called a school. And how can you learn to access those resources? Because we don't teach that to kids in traditional school. We bring the resources to them, and we don't teach them how to get the resources out in the rest of the world. So that's one of the things that we feel like is super important. We help kids with transcripts. So we have a couple of members here that will tell you that they do aspire to go to college. Nobody who has attempted to go to college from a self-directed education center has failed to do so. Anyone that has wanted to does, even without a high school diploma. Many people don't know that's an option, but it very much is an option. We have members who are 15 and 16 currently taking classes at NOVA. So they've kind of jump-started in areas of interest, taking classes at a college level. They had to pass the entrance exams, they had to do all of those things, and they were motivated to do that. We have people exploring passions like music and art. We have entrepreneurs, people who have their own businesses or are interested in starting their own businesses. We have people who are interested in working with their hands and trades, and our job is to help connect them with the resources to learn those things. So a typical day, maybe each of these folks would be willing to comment on what a typical day looks like for them at Embark. But for some kids, like I said, it could be classes, it could be a mentor meeting, they could have a one-on-one tutorial, learning about something that they want to learn or feel like they need to learn, like, the ever popular driver's ed, those kinds of things. And so they might do that. There's a lot of social time because we're about building a community. What we are that is different, because really anybody can do self-directed education at home. They can do that with their parents. Homeschoolers and unschoolers do it all of the time. But there are people that would never choose to make the leap from leaving school without support because it's so foreign to them, or without a sense of community. And that's really what we're about is the relationships between adults and teens, the relationships between the teens themselves, the relationships we attempt to build with families to help guide them through this. As you can imagine, it isn't easy to take the leap to pull your child out of school necessarily. And so for some parents, feels really scary, and it's up to us to kind of help them along that process. So yeah, so a typical day does include a lot of social time. Today at a certain point, I was teaching a class upstairs and I could hear music coming up through the floor from the basement, and laughter coming down from above, and card games and board games, and people in another room with headphones on studying, and that is sort of what a typical day at Embark looks like. And it certainly isn't Mecca, it isn't paradise. All of the challenges that come with creating community are a natural part of what happens at Embark. I'm sure these guys can tell you. There have been many moments of growth and challenge in building our relationships with one another, but that work is critical to being a fulfilled human on planet Earth, and it's work that unfortunately we tend to put off in our society to adulthood, and then we don't even always do it so well. But these guys are getting practice in the very real art of navigating different personalities, learning to be accepting and appreciative of people's differences, even when you want to just be like, please just go away. All of those things come up, and we process those in our community meetings, and we process those in our mentor meetings, and we process and we process, and we process, and a lot of that has encouraged people to grow even when it isn't always fun, right? Because we know growth is challenging. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it. So I'm not going to bore you anymore. You're not really here for me. You're here to hear from our teams. And so I was given specific orders about, I want to go first, I don't want to go last, I don't want to go last, I don't want to go in the middle, so I'm going to just guess and roll the dice, because Will said I don't want to go first, but I will. And I'm going to pass off the mic and introduce you to Will Saltzman, who's one of our members, who's also pictured on our poster. And Will is a brilliant musician, so perhaps you already know him and seen him in town. Thank you, Will.
Hi guys, my name is Will Saltzman, and as Andrea said, I play music quite a bit. It's interesting because music is in some ways it's a very honest thing. You know, you write these lyrics, you compose these songs, and they're just part of you. But like, it is nowhere near as honest as sitting up here and like spilling out my life story. So I'm kind of dying right now. So bear with me. It all started back in 3rd grade. I moved from New York, upstate Kingston. And the first day of 3rd grade, I walked into school. Actually, you know, it's actually kind of funny because everyone is wearing either gray or black, and I just realized I'm not. And funny enough, I walked into school wearing a pair of tight red skinny jeans and a band t-shirt. So kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. And kids don't really like that, I don't think. They called me a lot of names. I only had like 1 or 2 close friends. It kind of sucked. And you know, I went through elementary school and got into middle school, and that was when I can't curse. Yeah. That was when things really started to hit the fan. In 6th grade, I became very depressed and turned to a lot of different mediums of coping, from self-harm to drugs to lots of different things, and music too, which is good. And I moved through middle school. I moved through 6th grade, just kind of going along with it. Towards the end of the year, though, I actually ended up doing homebound education because school was just too much for me. I couldn't handle it. And from there, that kind of became the pattern for the rest of my time in public school. I would do maybe the first half of the year, and then I would end up going back into homebound because some mental breakdown would occur because of the many stresses in my life. And so I moved through middle school not very gracefully, and got to high school. Very similar chain of events have occurred. And in the summer between my sophomore and my junior year, my parents had told me about this place called Embark. And I was like, oh, that sounds really dumb. But I decided to go and meet with Andrea anyways. And I'm really glad I did, because I don't think I've ever been at a better point in my life, to be honest. You know, I think the biggest thing for me is probably the relationships that I've made here. There's a lot of cool people. You know, I get to work on my music, which is really great. I'm releasing an EP recently, check us out at Code Official. And you know, I get to learn about really cool things like history, and I get to do a creative writing class with lovely Kara Draper, and we talk about current events and things that are relevant to life and my experiences. It's just been a really amazing experience overall. And you know, I want to thank Andrea and Kara and else for making this so dope. Yeah, I think that's sort of I want to go over details. Thank you, Andrea.
If there's something that would like to go after the ball, we'll open up for questions after everyone's had a chance to, because I'd like them to get it done, because I know we're all nervous.
Okay, so my name is Kai McKay, her other daughter. I'm not the square peg though. So yeah, I went through like since I came out of the womb, I went through like Montessori, primary, elementary. I did like Montessori school, and that was like I never had really any issues. Like it was just the way just the way my life is. It's just Montessori, and it's fine. And then we went to a junior high program, and I did Montessori all the way through junior high, well, most of junior high. I halfway through like ninth grade, there was like some issues. I don't know. It wasn't. I didn't feel like it was my issues, but the issues weren't being addressed. So I left and went to public school because I was like, there was less personal relationships there, and I was like, okay, well, I'm having trouble with that, so why don't I go where I don't have to deal with personal issues? So I went to Loudoun Valley, and it was great because I was like, didn't have to focus on myself really at first, because it was like everything was literally spoon fed to me. Like, oh, this class you're gonna do this, and then tomorrow you're gonna do this, and then yeah, and I like a routine. I like to know what's coming next. I don't like surprises. But that kind of like spoon feeding of subjects that are just like boring and that I don't feel like I need to know was just like not good. It wasn't enjoyable, and I was enjoying like having all the friends and like, like football games, soccer games and everything. But like I felt like all my friends were like surface friends who you just kind of like talk to, and there was no real like, you really know me. And teachers, like I would try to like interact with teachers, and the teachers were really nice, and they really tried to like be, like there for you, but there's like thousands of kids, you can't really focus on just one. So they were nice, and I could go to them and talk to them, but it just wasn't like, it wasn't like at Montessori where it's like 18 kids, like 3 adults, where you can really have like a super deep personal relationship. So that was hard at Valley, to not have that connection with like an adult. And also like, it was weird to like other students and like my friends that I would be so comfortable talking to adults, because in like Montessori, everyone's kind of like, there's no generational gap. It's kind of, you are treated in like equal no matter like your age. So it was hard at Valley to be like, everyone was like, why are you talking to teachers? You don't have to, right? Like, so why would you? So that was kind of weird for me, that transition, but I didn't like, I was like, okay, whatever, like, this is just the way it is here, so I'll just do this. But it was actually kind of hard to just do. So, and then towards the end of the year, like, it was harder to just go with the flow. It was harder to just do what I was supposed to do, to just get the assignment done on time, even if I don't want to do the assignment, or if I don't see the purpose of the assignment. Teachers like would just be like, well, just do it because I told you so. And there was one teacher in particular that was like really hard to do it for. So like towards the end of the year, I was like not really doing much of the stuff on time, but I was just kind of like getting through the end of the year. And then over the summer was when my mom was kind of putting together Embark, and I was like, oh, like I don't really know if I can direct myself. I don't know if I can build the motivation for myself to do something if I'm not spoon-fed it, because I had never had to do that for myself, so I didn't know if I could. So I was at first looking back to just going back to battle and just kind of sucking it up. But then I was like, okay, well, there's no harm in like trying Embark at first, and if I like hate it or can't, do it, then I could just go back to Valley. But it like was not terrible. I didn't hate it. No, like I met like a lot of new people, and I had some like friends who I had known before there, and like all those friendships, it was nice to have friendships where you feel like people actually know you, and it's not just, hey, what's up? It's actually like, hey, like, how are you doing? And it's just like more meaningful, and having the adult relationships back in my life was like really helpful, because it's someone who's like, yeah, I'm your adult. Like, I'm not your adult, but I'm an adult that is like older than you, and a lot of adults like at Valley, and was like, oh, I'm older than you, so I'm superior. So to have adults in my life who didn't believe that they were superior than me is just like really, I don't know, it just like gives you like more self-confidence, like, oh, I can be like equal to this person who has lived like way longer than me. So
Way longer.
Yeah, the mentor-mentee relationship is like really meaningful. Even it's like once a week. Well, I don't know. I take up 2 hours of Kara's time. But those like meeting times, I look forward to just sitting there and being like, oh, this is my life right now. And then to be able to be like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this week, and having the like even the shortest term goals like tomorrow or like today like is really helpful. And so with Kara's help, I wanted to do something with psychology or sociology, and Nova College was offering a sociology course, and I wanted to get jump started on, because I want to go to college to study like science, like psychology, sciences and stuff. So I knew I had to I knew I wanted to start in that direction. So Kara, my mentor, has helped me go through the hoops. Unfortunately, there were hoops that we had to go through to go apply and be registered at Nova, but we did that like together. So it wasn't like, okay, go do this now and I'll watch you. It was like, oh, let's do this together. You can do it, but I'm gonna be here if you can't. So yeah, I'm taking part-time classes at Nova, also at Embark. And that's my story.
My name is Megan Sutter, and I'm in Embark and sophomore. Like my journey with schooling hasn't really been traditional in any sense of the word. I attended a Montessori school for like roughly 10 years of my life, which is all of my schooling. And so yeah, I enjoyed that, and it was the same school that I was talking about, which is also where I met Andrea and Karen. I'll get to that later. So I went there, and that was, I don't know, a really safe space, and that was like how I viewed school. Like when I thought about school, I thought of that safe environment where I had a really good relationship with the adults in my life and the adults that were teaching me, because they weren't, like I said, they weren't superior to us. Like, they were older, but they were just there to help us. And just, I don't know, that was just my view on school. When I thought about school, that was what I envisioned. So being there for so long and getting used to that, I wasn't really, I guess, I thought I was mentally prepared to leave, but I was not. So I left in 9th grade and thought I was prepared to go to the public high school by my house for my sophomore year, so this year. And so this past summer, I spent most of my summer just like preparing for that and kind of getting myself like pumped up, like, you could do this, you could do this. And I couldn't do it. But so I went there and met my guidance counselor, and she was like, oh, well, like, it'll be fine, just take SOLs and stuff, and it'll be great, and you'll like just go right into the sophomore class and take all the classes you need to graduate, and you'll be fine. And I was like, yeah, this will be great, I'll be fine. And I took the SOLs and failed every single one except English. So that was really discouraging, and that was where everything kind of started to go downhill. That was just like, I don't know, it was just really bad on like my view on myself and kind of my view on school. Because I was never like, this sounds really cocky, but I never like had trouble with academics. I loved school. I loved learning. It was just, that was like my thing. I loved it. It was great, except math. I hate math. But like, sorry, Andrea. But like, that was my thing. I never had trouble with that. So going in to take the SOL tests, I never thought that I would fail all of them. So it was not really something that I was ready for when she told me that, and sitting in the room with this woman that I didn't know saying, oh, well, you should have scored better. What the heck is wrong with you? Like, your grades last year were great. Like, what happened? It's kind of, I don't know, wreaked havoc on me in every way possible. So I ended up going to the high school anyway, and was in a majority of my classes were freshman classes. So I was like, wow, I'm not with any of the kids that I know or any kids my age. And all these freshmen who like they're like cool in high school, and like it was just bad. And it was all classes that I'd taken before, so I was bored and I didn't want to be there, and I really knew the material because I was repeating these classes. And I just like didn't see a purpose of anything. I was like, why am I waking up late? Like, why am I getting out of bed? And like, why am I going to this place where I feel so horrible about myself and about everything that's happening in my life? Because it just like, I don't know, I had such a great view on life and on like what I thought I wanted to do with my life and what I thought my values were. And going into that environment that was just so icky and like just makes your skin crawl thinking about it, but it makes me sad. Like, just totally, I don't know, like made me think differently. And I was upset that it affected me in the ways that it did. Because I mean, I always had like issues in my life because I'm always perfect. So like, but it just like, I had anxiety through the roof, and I was just like sad for no apparent reason, and just like, it was bad, and I was not in a great headspace, and like I was like mad at my family for no apparent reason. Like, why did you make me do this? And why did you say I'd be fine? And I wasn't crying, and just like all of these things. So I was like saying these things, and I was complaining to Kaya, just like, why am I here? Like, why am I doing this? This is so bad. And she was like, oh, you come to an art. And I was like, no, like that's not my thing. And so like at this point, they had already started, and like I was like, well, it's too late. Like, I'll just finish. Like, I'm gonna have 3 years left of high school anyway. Like, I'll push through it. So I ended up just like hanging out at the McKay house one day, and Andrew was like, "No, you don't have to suffer anymore. Like, you don't have to do this. This isn't something that's crucial in your life. Like, you can just stop right now. You can just not go to school tomorrow." And I was like, "Yay! Like, whoa!" So we ended up meeting with Andrea, and she was like, well, why? I was like, I don't want to leave. Like, I hate it, and I'm just like not in an amazing mental state right now, but I can't leave. And she was like, well, why?
was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what, and I don't want to leave. I'm just scared because it's a huge leap. And it's a huge, like, people ask me questions like, well, why are you leaving school? Like, that's crazy. What are you doing? You're never get anywhere in your life. Like, you're screwing yourself over. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the end. This is how I die. Like, this is going to be the worst decision I ever made in my entire life. And she was like, well, you just have to do it. You can do what makes you happy. And that was the first time in months that I, like, truly believed that somebody that I was talking to about this actually cared about me and cared about what I wanted and what I needed to be successful. So I went too far. But I was so scared that I was like, I can't pull out full time. Like, I can't get out of high school full time. So, like, I can't do this. So I went part time, and then I was like, wow, like, this is so much better than high school. I can't believe that I'm still here. So now I'm full time. But just like, I don't know, the whole atmosphere at Emporia is completely different. I know that it's not school, so of course it's going to be different. But like the relationships that I have with these, like I made friends within like an hour of walking in the building, and I was better friends with those kids that I met than any of the kids that I had talked to in months at high school. I don't know, that was when like I got my life together. I was happy, and I was just like, we still have like issues and stuff, and I'm human. But like, I don't know, it's been great, and like, I'm just so appreciative of all that care and Andrew are doing here, just because like, I don't know where I'd be if I wasn't here. I'd probably be, I don't know, but like, I don't know, and just like everybody's been saying, the relationships that you make with all the kids here makes you feel so normal. Like, you don't feel like an oddball anymore. You don't feel like out of place, which is like, I don't know, in high school, like, I stepped out of this with them just because it was very obviously not my place. I was very obviously not supposed to be there. And I don't know, it just feels really nice having kids around me that will like reach out to me and be like, hey, I know what you're feeling, I know what you're dealing with, I can help you, like, if you need it. And it's just, it's great. And that's my story.
So, yeah, and then we have to talk about we're not going to put it to a parent.
My name's Jack Zobrist.
Say, Jack, what school went for you?
Crack.
More specific.
Okay, well, school. So I started out in elementary school, and I did not do good academically. At that age, I had nowhere else to go.
Sorry, Jack.
I don't like you.
But no one else can hear you.
Well, sorry.
So you didn't feel like you were doing well academically.
Yes, and at that age in elementary school, there was nowhere else to go, and teacher, there's like 30 kids in class, or in the classroom, and the way that they ran it was not good. In 4th grade, they switched it to every teacher, a different teacher for each subject. But, so that wasn't fun. And then I went to Blue Ridge. So I got in trouble a lot, but they didn't know what to do. They didn't do it. So I went to Blue Ridge, and they were like, I got in trouble. I couldn't sit still in my desk. I talked a lot, disruptive, and were. You can't talk to a teacher one-on-one because there's 30 kids per classroom, and it was crazy because you had groups. You had the cool kids, you had the kid with this, the kid with this. I wasn't really in any of those groups. I had a few good friends, but that wasn't fun. So they said, well, you can stay here, or you can go to Douglas. Don't know, Douglas sucks. It's where all the bad kids go that do drugs, get in fights, and that good stuff. I don't do that. And I went there, and it was good because the classrooms were like 10 kids per class, but the kids there made it feel like there were 40 kids. There was no, the kids just were very rowdy, they didn't listen, and I wasn't the type to get in a fight. And there was always this one kid there that always didn't like me very much. Beat me up. And one kid was like 300 pounds. He was a football. Punched me in the stomach. And that wasn't fun. I stepped on the shoe, that's why I was done. And I was there for half a year in 7th grade. And I was like, well, this sucks, but it's better than Blue Ridge. So and then my mom said, in bar. I was like, yeah, no. And she started telling me about it. She didn't know much at the time. She's like, well, you can, only part I got out of her was you can eat and go to 7-Eleven. That's the only part. And even that, I was like, whoa, and we're gonna have a teacher come up to me, I'm gonna have a timer, like, am I gonna be late? It's like, how many things can go wrong? Quite a few, actually. And so I was like, no, I'm gonna stay Douglas. But like I said, it was bad, but it was better than Blue Ridge. And then she was like, no, you're going here. I was like, no. And then we met in the library and apparently modeled. So I've been told. And I was still like, we kept talking, like, but she was Andrea was telling me about Lord, and I was still like, no, not everything. I was like, oh, humans, no, that's a start. But then I went, and it was bad because I didn't know anything. And then I was I be done. Is that good with you?
Feel that?
I don't know.
Do you have a good feeling?
It was
Now.
great. It's been. I have friends. I have people.
You sound like you're being sarcastic, are you?
No, I know people that. Oh yeah.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Cooper, are you ready?
Hi, I'm Cooper Brown. I went to Mount Laurel Montessori School coming to Embark, and I can remember in upper elementary just wanting the day to be over because it was so boring. Having to do the things that I didn't want to do. And all I really wanted to do was just read history and all that kind of stuff. I just love history. It's awesome. I just watch documentaries all the time. That's what I do on my free time that I don't do anything. I would literally move chairs for events just to get out of doing stuff. So, and I came to Embark because it was just a good fit for me. Because I just get to do the stuff that I want to do. Since I love history, I can just sit and read a book all day if I want to. And sometimes I choose to do that. So I usually do the history class that Andrea puts on. And I like to do blacksmithing. That's fun. I just got an internship with a blacksmith, so I can learn how to do blacksmithing. And hopefully I can turn that into gunsmithing. I love guns too. That's one of my big passions. And I can really express myself like that, as opposed to in regular school. They would just tell me to not do that at all. Like, that's unheard of, to wanting to build guns. And here at Embark, I can just look up guns that I like and be inspired by that. I run a small business. My mom puts on a small business class, and I attend that.
Tell us about your small business.
I have a business called Cooper's Amazing Blazing. I bake donuts and bread and cake.
They're really good.
In the shape of them. I have to go there. So, what was, besides being bored, did you have any other challenges in a more traditional school?
Math, I hate math. It's probably my weakest subject. It's not fun at all.
And so how is that different now? Because you're doing math.
Yeah, but I don't have to do that at a certain time when somebody tells me to do it. And sometimes back at Mount Laurel, I would be doing one thing and then I would be pulled to a lesson on math or something that like, I really want to do this, but I can't because I'm getting pulled away to do something else. And that wasn't good. And
Talk to me today about looking at your case to see something about that.
so I don't like having to move along with the class. As opposed to this, I don't have to work with other people. I can learn on my own and move with and do stuff when I feel like it and when I feel like I'm ready to move on.
So do you have your questions you want?
No, I just want you to tell your story about your experience as a parent of a child now at work before and now.
Okay, so my name is Eileen Schaefer, and my daughter Grace is actually here in the audience. Maybe she'll talk to you individually afterward about her experience, but we've had just a wonderful year with Embark so far. I think Grace is a little fearful, like what if it disappears? What if this doesn't? What if Andrew gives up? And what's doing this? What's going to happen to me? And I'm trying to assure her that's not going to happen. But I guess my feeling, like through the journey that we've gone through, like we'll just figure it out and make it happen. It doesn't have to be. Nothing has to be in a traditional sense anymore. So Grace would probably tell you that her issues with school started in preschool. And it just kept getting worse. And so by the time we hit middle school, she was really saying to me, like, why am I different? Why am I the way I am? Why? And she has an older sister who is complete opposite. So type A, overachiever, really intense, pushes herself academically. Grace is incredibly bright, didn't really have a lot of motivation to apply herself in school, and also didn't really care to play games with anybody. literally, figuratively, like not big into social games, but also like knew how to work the system and how to slide by and do what she needed to get the grades. And so when she was in 8th grade, I, like kind of at her insistence, went to the school, requested testing, filled out my form suspecting disability, and was basically told she's fine because all those coping skills that I had taught her for somebody with social anxiety, to email the teacher, go and talk to the teacher after class. We're going to get your popsicle stick taken out of the can so you don't get called on in English class. Like the teacher's going to give you a heads up, they're going to ask you questions, you're not put on the spot. So kind of teaching her to do all those things kind of came back to bite us sitting in that eligibility meeting to say, oh no, she has great coping skills. She knows how to do this. She, you know, she can take care of herself. She's fine. And really, do you want her labeled like that? Do you, any kid who can get an A in Latin, there's no problem. Like she doesn't have any issues. Only thing she's failing is algebra. That's a high school class, and she never should have been put in the class in the first place. So we didn't get anywhere with that until I had some private testing done. And then her sister had, she'd gone through public school as well. In 9th grade, she was absolutely miserable, saying in October, I can't wait for the next 4 years of my life to be over with so I can go off to college and I can get out of this and I can leave. And I, as a parent, going, this time was like speeding by way too fast for me. No, I don't want you to go off to college and wish the next 4 years away. And please don't tell me that high school is the best 4 years of your life, because you know there's no truth to that. But she, in the end, we got a, she took a scholar, I found an ad, she took a scholarship test in Middleburg Academy and got an incredible opportunity to go there. And Grace went with us for a tour. So while she's taking a scholarship test, we were just hanging around the school we had never been to, that I had only seen online. And we're getting this great tour from 2 students who are brothers who had a great experience there. And at the end of it, Grace was kind of like, oh, I wonder what it would be like to learn like this, to actually learn, for people to teach you and to not have to memorize and to not be taught to a test and to not see a PowerPoint, to take a quiz and be given a piece of paper to fill out and to kind of jump through all these hoops. So when they refused testing and we got our own testing done, and I said, look, you know, she really should have an IEP. I can fight you, or, you know, I can request a 504 plan. And at that point, they were like, okay, we're not going to fight you anymore. You know, show us the testing that you got. At that point, we gave Grace the choice of, did she want to get a test score? Did she want to go try Middleburg? So she said, I want to try Middleburg. So we go for the tour and the orientation, and she actually did the whole application process essentially on her own and did testing, got accepted. We had met with a counselor and let her know like what the situation was and like, you know, where she needed help. She was wonderful, you know, said they would be very accommodating, and we started that process, but it ended up being it was a very good thing that we did it, but in the end, it was a really horrible year. She lasted probably until January with that situation, and it was a very different, had her anxiety not been as high as it was, I think she could have academically been more successful there. I think she would still tell you today, like, it's a great thing that we actually went through all the stuff that we've gone through in the past 1.5 years, because it brought us to this point. It brought us to being able to see something like Embark and be open to trying something that was completely different. So we left the private school system. I got her homebound status with the county again, and we finished the year like that, which was kind of ridiculous. We went from Middleburg, which was, here's a book, here's a lecture, here's a piece of paper and a pencil, from the public school system, which was page after page after page of memorizing PowerPoints and all that stuff, back to the homebound teacher, who they were just kind in the end and helped her finish 9th grade, but it was ridiculous. I mean, she wasn't learning anything, but they just helped her get through the end of the year, which basically kept me from probably being dragged into court for truancy, which was all a good thing too. But so anyway, so about a year ago, I also work as an advocate, and I was meeting with a client, helping another mom, and we got to talking about different options and you know, what other choices were there for kids. And she said, oh, I heard of this new place called Embark. So she leaves my office and I Google Embark, like on the spot, and call and leave a message for Andrew, who calls me back like minutes later we have a conversation. And then, so over a period of months, we just kept in touch. She came to meet with Grace once in our house and just totally chill and was very astute in noticing when Grace just kind of checked out of the conversation completely and was done with that. And she even figured out how to tape. North Star came into the panel discussion at Leesburg Depot, and Andrew even figured out that afternoon how to tape it so that Grace could watch it, because Grace really did not want to go to this panel discussion, which she never watched, but thankfully it taped. So so I'm like on board, like, okay, we should sign up. So Andrew does another visit at our house, and we sign up, and Grace fills out her application, answers her questions and everything, and Grace is kind of thinking, okay, like maybe this is a good thing, and what else are you gonna do with me anyway at this point? So they have a painting day, like clean up, like come see the building. So I bring Grace in for this, and we walk out of the building, and she goes, "Lady, are you crazy? Do you think that I'm gonna be able to survive this environment? Like, this A days and B days, there are no surprises, you know in advance when there's gonna be an assembly, like there's a lot of structure to the public school system. And so for anxiety, like some of that structure is a good thing." And she was like, "I think you're taking me to a place with no structure, and there are people sleeping on the floor, and there are people sleeping on the couch, and there's paint, and there's," and she was like, "I don't think I can do this." I'm like, "Well, you know what, we're gonna do this, because I'm applying for you to be a homeschooled student, and I am not teaching you." So, like, she'd been begging for that for years. I didn't think it was gonna work. So anyway, so we come for the first day, which is super nicely baking a bunch of stuff, and getting in the door was not easy, like just anxiety-wise. And so, but I will say, we finally got in the door, said hello to Andrea, got ourselves out the door, and met with her outside, agreed to try to come back in the afternoon to just adjust and see what it was like with people there. And she came back and stayed for a while longer, and then the next day she set a goal for herself of how long she was going to stay and what she was going to do, and it really didn't take very long in the scheme of things for her to start to feel comfortable there. And so early on she said that this way of learning, and so granted the learning is not so much learning, it's nothing like learning the curriculum that you would be subjected to in a traditional school. But learning in terms of learning life skills, and learning how to make decisions, and learning how to interact with other people and deal with different personalities and negotiate different personalities and accept people's differences. And I really feel like it's interesting that I don't think these kids like talk about so much like what their individual issues are. They're just really accepting of each other. It is tough when new people come in, I'll say, like that change is tough. But I really feel like they're doing a great job navigating just social situations that you might not even be exposed to in a traditional setting. But I feel like from my perspective, like Grace has learned and grown so much in this year and in different ways that she never would have the opportunity to grow. So she said early on, like this learning situation has completely taken the anxiety out of learning for me. So she made an interesting comment last weekend, and that was that it used to be during regular school on weekends, and starting from when she was little, like birthday parties were tough to do, or bigger social situations were really stressful. And so on weekends, she really needed a lot of downtime just to recover from what the school week was like. And so what the school didn't see, and had they seen, we probably would have seen more of Jack's situation. Grace is holding in her anxiety of having to spend the whole day in that school setting was explosive at home with me, and the school never saw that. So had she not been afraid to go to the principal's office or been afraid of what they would have done to her, like they would have been asking me to help them long ago instead of me waiting to come to them to ask for help. So she made a comment last weekend then that within Mark, like that anxiety and that stress that she had during the week doesn't really exist. I mean, it comes, there are highs and lows, like even like today, I'll say like there were good parts of the day, there were not so good parts of the day, but you know what, she's there all day, and I'm not gonna get a call to pick her up, and she's not texting me to say, Lydia, come get me out of here, I need to leave, or I can't stay here. She's learning to navigate all of that. And so now, she doesn't need that downtime on weekends. And this group of kids are great about texting each other and keeping in touch. And Avery and I had talked about like creating volunteer opportunities for them on the Wednesday if they're not in park. But she's in a much better position to want to hang out with other people, and she's making a lot more, I think a lot better like emotional connections too as well, and being able to figure things out and make decisions. And she did decide a couple weeks ago that she wanted to do math. So she's doing some math. So for us, it's been tremendous. And so I think, you know, we still get, and Grace gets in particular from one friend, like, oh, well, how are you going to make ends meet? Is kind of the ultimate thing. Or how are you going to get into college? Or how are you going to do this bigger things? And I guess I frankly think that, like, having gone through the year that we went through, it was really horrible, but a lot of good has come out of it in terms of, I know in my thinking, just thinking outside the box, to the point where she calls me Jack in the Box. Like, what are you going to do now? Because I no longer feel like people need to fit into, that everybody has to progress through this traditional model of school or education or life. And it really is about what fits the individual, and that there are choices. You just have to look really hard for the choices, because nobody's going to volunteer those choices.
We'll stop.
So I come from a family of teachers. My mother was a teacher, my father was a teacher, my sister is a teacher, her husband obviously retired. I was a teacher, in a theater program, college level for a couple of years. This was not an easy leap in many ways. But I bring that up because the biggest thing for me was when I heard you can't do anything with a high school diploma that you could without one, so to speak. And so, right. So that was really, it was tough for me to explain what we were about to do to the family, to different people. And my late brother he worked for Merck. He had 37 patents. He went to Colgate undergrad, he went to the University of Wisconsin graduate school. He spent his whole career at Merck. He was known throughout the world. I called my sister-in-law and I was describing what we were about to do and waiting for her to go. And she said, oh, you remember Jim, real good friend of my brother's who had worked with him. His name was also on his 37 patents. And she said, Jim Heckman went to high school. He got a PhD from Harvard. Why didn't he go to high school? Because he couldn't take it. So Jim, he would have gone to high school in the 60s. So I started to think, wow, I'm really kind of armed now with that, and I feel pretty good about that. But that's not really why I feel really good about the decision we made to come to a park. And I was not drinking the day. We met, she said she talked to people in line at the grocery store. We met at Wegmans. I was like, we're going to Wegmans to make this work? And I liked her, and she seemed really smart, and she seemed passionate, and certainly want that, but taking my kid out of school, he's going to get a GED, this was starting. But anyway, I walked out of that meeting, and I thought, well, that's good for some people, I guess, but my wife said, we're going. And I said, we're going. Okay, so we did. And you know, all these stories that you've heard from these kids tonight about the things they went through, and I venture to guess, knowing what Will went through as compared to what he told me he went through, this was a very, very tiny little piece of it. That's really hard on the families. It's really hard. I'm sure I cannot understatement to the people who are considering this program. This has helped our family heal in so many ways. And you know, we talk sometimes at parent meetings about how it's really interesting when we talk with Kara and Andrea, we talk about how do you measure success? And all you have to do is listen to these kids. And all you have to do, if you know anything about anybody who's ever gone through this, is know that this is just, when they're telling you they had a hard time, when Jack sits here and says that the 300-pound kid punched him in the stomach, imagine going to school. The fact that they are sitting here, the fact that they have created this community is so much more important than any academics, which is not to say that they're not all engaged learners, because I have a feeling they are. Maybe some of them, you know, do 3 different things, or 5, or whatever. But they are all engaged, and they're engaged with each other, and they care about each other, and they have created this community. One of the things that is so interesting to me is the way school, so we're talking last week, and this very smart woman told this story about Rip Van Winkle, Rip Van Winkle had fallen asleep 20, 30, 40 years ago. And he woke up and he found cell phones and he found all the stuff that was different in the world and all these amazing things. He would go into a school and it would pretty much be the same thing as it was when he fell asleep. There is not a lot of room. You hear them talk about relationships with teachers and how important that is. There isn't room for that today. Will's had some great relationships with some of his teachers, and he had great teachers, and he really did well academically, which was a problem, because people would say, oh, you know, he's fine, he doesn't need whatever. It's okay to do this. It really is okay to do this if you're thinking about it. I will tell you too that Will, having been through all of these things, despite the well-meaning people in the schools, this is an example, this is one example that I feel like I won't share with you, because they gave him, he had terrible anxiety as well. And I mean, similar things. Really bad, you know, on the floor of the car, like he's in, not wanting to go to school. I'll take it back. And so they gave him this pass, and they said, you know what? When you're feeling anxious, you go down to the room, whatever. You can be in there as long as you need to be in there. And so he went. And they had all points bulletin. He was missing. He went, he did exactly what they told him to do. And they thought he left school. And I don't know if they called police. I mean, it was really bad. And so here they say to this kid, do this, follow this rule. And he never went back. And that was pretty much at the end of our time with the school, because we just couldn't, there is no room for individuality. And I don't mean that like, you know, he plays music. It's not that. It's just, there isn't any room to actually interact with people. And that's what they do. They do it with you guys, which is awesome. They do it with each other. As you said too. You have friends who you know more about in the 5 months, and you have more invested in the 5 months you've been there than you ever had at the other schools. And a lot of that really is because there's time for it. And you recognize the importance of those relationships and navigating those things that we all are going to have to navigate. And I don't know, it has really been a blessing to our family, to our other daughter who goes to regular school. And I don't think is interested in Mark, but you know, whether she will be or not. But it has changed our lives. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, did you want to come back up and take questions? You're fine. So really, this isn't just about hearing the stories. Of course, that's a very important part of it, so that you can hear directly from them what their experiences are. But it's also, we wanted this evening to be an opportunity for you to ask those questions or share your concerns about how this model works. And, you know, don't be shy, because as as Bill was saying, and as many of these kids have said, even before they started, they were like, what is this place? What are you doing? How can this possibly work? Is she serious? So if they're even having that doubt, I'm sure that many people who are considering the model or thinking about it are having those doubts as well. So we would love for you to ask any questions you have. And, because we're also live on a webinar, we are using this mic because it's recording sound for the people out in Cyberland. So I'm going to ask you to ask your question into the mic. I'll bring it to you if you have one. And I'm going to have you guys respond in kind into the mic. So is there anyone that has a question for any of the panel? Hi. So I have a question for the students who've come out of the traditional setting, public school setting, and even the parents too. I've heard stories of students who say that they didn't get the opportunity to make choices for their own life until they hit college, and they were out on their own, or even as small as making doctor's appointments and things like that. They just didn't know how to navigate being an adult because they weren't given permission to take responsibility of their own needs in that way. Those of you coming from a traditional setting, do you feel like this environment empowers you to sort of take those responsibilities in your own life more, to where you're thinking about your own needs at a different level than you were maybe in a traditional setting?
Yeah, no, I think it just inherently that's true. Just whether it be like, every aspect of your day in a public school setting is controlled. Besides like maybe when you go to resource or something, but even then you can leave to pay if you don't ask, which I find quite similar to a prison or mental hospital. Yeah, I think a lot more about like what decisions I'm making, where they're taking me, because I have to, just to kind of be able to structure my day and be productive, and not just kind of chill. Because it is very easy to do that. It's very easy to fall into that pattern of not doing anything if you're not self-motivated. But yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I just also wanted to say that time, like, is this working? Yeah. Okay. Most of the time in like traditional setting, not just in school, but like in life, you're not allowed to do any of those things for yourself until you're 18. So you can't make a doctor's appointment or go see a doctor without a parent there or a guardian or whatever. You're just not allowed. And that's like what Will was saying, the same boat in school. Like, you just can't do these things. Like, if you need to have a meeting with a teacher or a guidance counselor, like, your parent has to be there, your guardian has to be there to kind of help you make these decisions, because they think, oh, you're a minor, you're not capable of making these decisions. So I think at Embark, it's kind of it's the right amount between, the right balance between, you have to make this decision, we're here to help you, but you have to do it on your own, because that's how life works when you're over 18. And it's kind of sucks to have to not know that until you turn 18, and you're kind of like, oh, I mean, my sister's 18 and she's like, oh, I kind of have to actually do all of these things. So to actually get that started before you're forced into it is, I mean, I can only imagine I'm not 18, but I definitely have to make those decisions.
Do you enjoy making those decisions?
I enjoy knowing that I am the one making the decision. I don't really think anyone enjoys making those decisions out there. Maybe you do, but I mean, they're hard. But I like knowing, like, oh, I'm doing this because I wanted to, not because someone was like, hey, you're gonna do this now.
Any parents, did you have anything to say about that? It's okay, it's fine. Other questions?
Hi, my name is Daniel, and I'm here because I know Grace and Eileen. And in my work, I get a lot of people that ask me questions about resources in the community. And I had spoken to Eileen about Embark, and one of the reasons why I'm here is I want to hear firsthand from students and from parents what they felt was going on. And so as I'm listening, it's like, wow, this is really great. People will ask me, and I'll have questions that I could, my go-to person's Eileen. And so one of the questions that I have for you is scalability. I mean, right now I've heard there's a sense of family, which is really important. Our church is that way. But I could see this program doubling or tripling or quadrupling in the next not too long distant future. And how will it be for you, students, to have, you know, that many more kids around? And how would it be for the program to manage that that scalability? Because I, for one, would say, yeah, I know where I could recommend someone who's calling me on the phone that has a situation similar to the parents and students that have spoken. So in the back of my mind, it's like, if I recommend 20 students the next year, what happens? And you laugh, but it's possible.
Well, the first thing that happens is I actually get a paycheck, which would be a bonus. But it's a brilliant question, and one that comes up all the time. Different centers that are part of our network have operated differently in this. The largest has upwards of 70 to 80 students, that they call them students there, but enrolled. But they're there flexibly at different times on different days, etc. My personal feeling, so Kaya and I and my husband, we went and toured various centers before we kind of stepped into getting this ready. And what the decision that I sort of made unilaterally, because I could, is that I don't feel like any more than 40 students. I feel like more than that, it loses that sense of community. I'm now even starting to feel like 30. I would rather open multiple centers throughout Loudoun County and let them create a community, both that is nearer to a neighborhood where they might live so that it's accessible, as well as so that it maintains the size, so that that can be the case. So it is scalable. Obviously, it's now a nationwide thing, but the Embark itself would not grow past that size for exactly the reasons that you said. So if you were to refer 20 people, it would just speed up the process of when we have to get our act together to open the next ones. But that's kind of the goal, really, is, and in fact, you know, I've talked with Grace, and she had some plans, was interested in a nonprofit, and I kept trying to say, like, hey, you should open the next Embark, and we'll see when she's 21, maybe, since she can't do anything before, if that becomes an option. But yeah, I agree with you that this feeling, because you guys, if we're being totally frank with the audience, with each new member that comes in, the dynamic changes, it's a challenge. We all have to grow and stretch, and every, you know, I've had this conversation in mentor meetings with each of them, like at the beginning, I was like, I really can't stand so-and-so. They really drive me crazy. And then over time, we look back, and then this next new person comes in, and they're like, this is really hard. And I'm like, yeah, but look back at so-and-so, and you said that was the case in the beginning, and now that's not the case, right? That's growth, right? That is how communities build. So not only is it scalable, but actually that's part of the process of growth and dynamism that we want for these folks, is to experience how to work out and navigate those kinds of relationship changes. So that's my perspective, from in terms of like a sort of policy process. Do you guys have any thoughts on size, or we've never really talked about what's the maximum number you want in work or anything like that?
Well, first off, we're like, okay. First off, we're in a building in downtown Leesburg, so there's only so many people we can fit before it gets like people sitting on top of each other. But I mean, in terms of like how would it be for kids coming in, like I think we're some of the most accepting people that I know. We're a bunch of freaks and weirdos and stuff. But like Andrew said, with any new personality coming in, it totally changes the dynamic, right? Which can be a good thing. It can be a thing that you have to sort of work to get through. But I had something so much better to say, and now it's escaping me. Oh dear God, maybe 30. I just said it as you said it. Spoonful. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really nice that you can have like your go-to, people, and I think it's hard, coming in as someone who, I never came into this group from, I was there like in the beginning, but I think it'd be hard to come in and see all these people who know each other really well and are really close to kind of get in the same way. And so, we're accepting and we are trying when new people come in to like make them feel like they can kind of squeeze in with the group of people we have. But I think it's always going to be hard. And I think the more people you have, it's like the more options you have of people that you can talk to and stuff. So I think it's important to have a right balance of too many but too little people. So I'd say I get 30, but our building's kind of small, so.
So yeah, and I think that's a really great point, Kaya, that I didn't mention, but yes, thinking maximum numbers is important, but there's also a minimum threshold, and so we're still really small, and one of the positives of that is this group is super tight-knit. And one of the negatives of that is if you're not sort of somebody who thinks or wants to do what this group wants, there's not as much variety as there might be if we were to have 30 or 40 folks. And so we have almost like during the day, there'll be one group of people kind of playing music and hanging out, and another group maybe playing board games or watching, YouTube videos during like social time. And so it naturally sort of happens that there's one or two groups, and it would be nice if there are more of those that you can sort of shift around to during the day. So I think minimum is an important thing to think about too.
Okay. My question is for the students. You guys have so we've talked during the parent meetings about unschooling and how long it takes to unschool yourself and kind of get out of that whole thing. And we're unschooling for you as well. I don't know how to call it for the parents, but we're going to do it as well. But my question is, now that you've got this kind of group of people and you have this relationship, and Cooper's got business, and he's a blacksmith, and Will's got music, everybody's got things. And everybody also kind of knows where some of the challenges are for each other. Do you find yet that you are inspired by seeing what others are doing? I mean, has it gotten there yet where you think, I saw somebody deal with something that I know is a challenge for them, and that's kind of also me as a person with my own stuff. That matters.
I think I don't know, seeing everybody in their different just is really cool and like how they thrive and what they do. But also, we talked a lot about how we all interact with each other, but I love seeing Americans interact with like in my part because there's so many different personalities. Like there's so many different people there. Like the way that I deal with somebody that I might not enjoy very much is completely different than like Will or like Kai might. And like I don't know, it's inspiring to see like I don't know how willing people are to help each other. Like and even like how even if like you're having a struggle or you are dealing with something, if somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, I understand and I can help you. Just like personally, that means so much to me and inspires me so much. And it's just like, I don't know, really cool just to see how much everybody like is willing to hold each other up and just help each other. It's really cool. Yeah. So I mean, like what Megan said, it's like you can see someone, and if you know you're not the most open person to go up to someone and say, hey, like, do you want to talk about this or whatever? But you see someone else doing it, it can make you want to be like the same way you can want to be as open as them and know that since they're helping you, you want to help someone in the same way, which is just like really helpful to have that chain reaction. And because I mean, then everyone at some point is going to be able to go up to someone and say, hey, you know, do you want to talk about this or whatever with their own different challenges. And I think also with the unschooling and with other people unschooling, the unschooling period, it kind of, I mean, at first you're like, oh, I'm going to do everything because I can. And then there's unschooling of, oh, I really don't have to go like do these things. And then there's the period of, oh, I really don't have to, but none of my friends are. So I'm just going to go just so I can like hang out with them. And then you find yourself like, oh, I'm actually like doing history. I'm actually doing creative writing. And it's not, you don't even realize that you're doing it because, yeah, I mean, you start out doing it because your friends are doing it, but you end up doing it because you're there and have the opportunity. So that's really helpful.
What they said, no. Yeah, I guess one of the coolest things is probably seeing people share sort of their passions with others, and that's one of the coolest things for me, definitely. And what they said also.
About what Kyle said about helping each other. A couple of us, we have a staff called Trivia Crack, and today we were playing it, and we just kind of helped each other on the categories that we were not so good at. Just little stuff that we did.
In fact, I did hear a little story about that, Cooper, that someone was like, Cooper, why are you giving the other team answers in Trivia Crack? And somebody else said, because he's just nice, which is very cool. So I'm glad to hear that. So I do want to ask, Megan, I thought I saw you, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. I thought I saw you mouth the words, I have a lot to say about that, when Bill mentioned deschooling. You want to talk about deschooling a little bit? So for those of you that aren't familiar, the term deschooling is the process, the period between, it's sort of like deprogramming, right? It's you come out of school where you've been told when you can go to the bathroom and you can't chew gum and what hat you can wear, and now you have to make all the decisions for your life. And oh my gosh. So you go through this period of, oh my gosh. And as Grace has experienced, you walk in and find people sleeping everywhere. That's deschooling. And they sort of, the homeschooling model talks a bit about how you can anticipate about 1 month for every year of formal traditional schooling a person has had. So for people who have been in school for, up until high school, if they've been in school for, 10 years, it could be 10 months before they're ready to, okay, and all the parents are going to hear like 10 months. Oh. Well, what did you want to say about deschooling, Megan?
know, I didn't anticipate that when I came to Embark. I thought I'd just show up and do all these classes that I wanted to do. I signed up for the classes like online and said, oh yeah, I'll come to that class like every time Tara teaches it or Andrea teaches it, and then I like ended up not doing it. So like, I don't know, it was just really, at first, I was really discouraged. I'm like, I'm not a coach in anything, this sucks. But then like, once Andrea was like, this is normal, like you are normal. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But like, I don't know, it's a long process. I'm still deschooling. I still have moments where I'm like, no, not today. I'm just gonna just like sit in the loft and not do anything with my friends. Like, it's okay to have days like that, and I think getting used to that is the hardest part. Like, Embark is, I don't know, I wouldn't say like easy. I mean, yeah, it is, it's easy, but like, that's the hardest part. That's the hardest obstacle that I'm learning to do. With Embark, it's just realizing, like, you need to get used to it. You can't be perfect, like, right when you show up. That's just not how humans work.
Thanks, Megan. Are there any other questions people want to know about how things work? You're supposed to know, you're a parent. I'm not going to go. Oh, good. So I wanted to answer a little bit about being inspired by others. I have a great opportunity to not just be a parent, but to be a volunteer. So on a pretty regular basis, I'm at Embark for 2 full days out of the week with my toddler running around with all of these guys. And one thing that I have to say is that I walk away every single time I'm there, and Andrew's probably tired of hearing it at this point. I'm inspired. And I think it's really hard for sometimes the members to look at themselves and say, I'm good at this, or I succeed at this. But I see it every time I'm there. And so for an adult to be able to look at the members and say, you inspire me on a regular basis, you guys are doing some pretty great things. Thank you. I'll tell a little story about inspiration as well, because it's funny how many things, because this is Kara Draper, our other program advisor, so wave, Kara, it's good to see you. So Kara and I meet regularly and sort of talk about our observations, and some days those are more interesting conversations than others. But one of the things that that often happens is we see things in process and dynamic that's happening that they're probably not even aware of. And you probably do the same, right? But one of the things that's happened is, so they all know I'm a math geek. I'm in a 12-step program, I'm recovering, but I'm a math geek and I love math. And it started out at the beginning of the year that Kaya and one of our other members were like, we're gonna do Algebra 2. Why, I asked her. Because isn't that what you're supposed to do after geometry? Okay, yes, I know it's hard to break out of the, mold. So they started with Algebra 2. I was working with them when they needed me. They were pretty much self-directing that as well. They just call me when they got an X and it's like a little Y or whatever. And then it dwindled. It wasn't really happening. That wasn't happening at all. The book was collecting dust on the shelf, etc. And then, and Megan had joined us at this point, and she's also like, I really should do some math, but I hate math. And then another member joined just a week ago, and she's like, I really want to do Algebra 2. So Megan and this young woman started, and I was working with the two of them. Before you know it, Kaya and Gage sneak back in. Before you know it, there's this like whole table. And one of the new gentlemen that started, he's not even done Algebra 1. He's still working on long division, and he's coming in and listening, and there's X's and Y's on the board, and everybody's just sort of staring. And they're all, of course, doing the whole, I can't stand this. But at the same time, there is a level of collaboration, a depth in the learning that's happening, and just based on the discussion and the collaboration between them, that never would have happened in any of the math classes or lessons that I'd given before. It just wouldn't have been a thing, because it would have been me telling you what to do, you doing what I told you to do, and then 4 years from now, if I asked you again, you'd be like, I don't even remember any of that, but I passed the test, passed the SOL, got my credit, and moved on. But these guys are really talking about it, they're struggling with it, they're chewing on it, they're helping each other, and there's a level of learning. And so, you know, even though none of our members are at Embark for academics, all of them are probably getting a depth of learning in academics that they never had gotten or had experienced in a traditional setting before. Am I wrong? Okay. Don't say it. Okay, I'm not saying. All right. Anybody else have any questions? I know that there are also maybe some questions coming in via the chat. I'm not sure about that. But if anybody else has any questions. No? All right. Would anybody? So Kaya actually went with me to visit some of the other centers. And do you want to share anything about any of the other centers that was a little different from Embark, or what when you saw those other centers? What did you notice? What did you think? What kind of helped you to get over the hump to make the decision to, yes, I think I'll go to Embark, even though I'm not really sure if I should, even though my mom's there.
Yeah, I've had past experiences with you as a teacher. But I don't know. I loved visiting the centers. We came and it was like we were there for a couple hours, and at all the centers, everyone was like, "Hey, like, do you want to like?" I mean, I wasn't doing the meetings and stuff that they were. I mean, I was just there observing, and I was still in public school at the time, and I had to write this paper, and everyone was like, "Oh, like, what's it about? Like, maybe we can help you." And I don't know. That's kind of the same here, though. I feel like I don't know differences. Well, one thing that really helped me kind of get on board with actually going was like, I was like, oh, there's no way that, like, on the weekend, I can really get myself out of bed. There's no way that I can, you know, do any of the things that I would like to do. And just going and seeing that all these people are, like, doing just that, like, getting up and doing the things they want to do without anybody telling them that they have to do was like, oh, so it's not just my mom's crazy and things that people are super, I don't know, but it was seeing that like this is like an actual thing that just can happen if you just like let it happen. So yeah, I don't know, but all the centers are kind of similar in certain ways.
So one of the biggest questions that I get is, how does that whole college thing happen? I want my child to go to college. I'm not ready to even consider the option of offering them that choice. I want my child to go to college. You said you can go to college without a diploma. Tell me more about that. So I will. So basically, when you decide to attend college, you, as you know, have to apply, and you have to give most universities and colleges a transcript. And so we help our members create a transcript of the work that they've done and of the things that they need. Basically, what we do is help them first communicate with the colleges that they may be choosing to attend, or to apply to at least, and contact them, talk with the folks in the admissions office, find out what they're looking for. Most universities at this point have a process for reviewing the admissions applications of non-traditional learners, whether they're homeschoolers, unschoolers, adult learners, for non-traditional students. And so there is someone who can answer those questions in the admissions office. And then once you have that information, the difference is that when you walk lockstep through high school based on what they tell you to do and do all of these things, you're in a pool with thousands of other people whose transcripts look remarkably like yours. So they're always telling you, take one more AP class, join another club, volunteer in a leadership position, because those are the things that will set you apart. But as a non-traditional learner, everything about you is different. And so actually, colleges really look, highly upon non-traditional learners because they're demonstrating that they have the ability and the initiative and the desire to seek out learning. They're not just doing it because it's the next thing that happens after high school. So, in Kaya's case, she's 15, she's taking classes at the community college. If she were to continue doing that at the pace that she is now, she would have an associate's degree by the time she's 18. So applying to a 4-year college with all of her other 18-year-old colleagues or cohort members, they're all applying as freshmen with you know, the transcript as it reads, and she's already applying with 2 years of college classes under her belt. So of course they're going to say, well, she's demonstrated that she can be successful in college. There's no risk there, right? So, and then there are going to be those that decide to go to college that haven't taken college classes, and in which case, like for example, Megan, if she's exploring, you know, botany and herbalism and all of those things, we would help her assign credit hours for that and create a transcript that puts that in biology so that she can take it and put it in the language that's understood. And this isn't, we have an online portfolio system, so we help the kids maintain a portfolio as well. And we're not faking it. I mean, these are real things. When Cooper tells you, he's not lying, that he's watched hours and hours and hours of history, and he's tried to tell me about all of that. And so Cooper could school anyone in this room, including my history major husband, on half of the things. When he is in the class, in our history class, with a lot of kids that are significantly older than him, and we're having a conversation, often it's Cooper that has to set us all straight, right? There's value in that. There's value in the time he's put in. There's value in the learning that he's acquired. And just because he didn't attend the class and get a grade or a credit for it, he deserves to have that, right? Jack is a voracious reader. He doesn't go to an English class, but you read a lot, Jack, and enjoys what he reads. There's value in that. And it can be assigned credits, and a transcript can be created. And so that's sort of a long answer about how we help these guys to be able to go to college. And we don't assume that college is the chosen outcome for all of our members. Statistically, in all of the centers that exist in Liberated Learners, about 70% of the people who leave centers choose the next form of education. For some, it's that they leave in high school and decide to go back to a traditional environment because they enjoyed this, it was helpful, it reinvigorated, but now they're making a choice to attend traditional school, which has a very different feel for them than being there because you're told you have to be. And some of them feel like, hey, I want to go back for my senior year because I want to go to the prom, or I want to have a senior year, or I want to go to football games, or I want to play on a varsity sport or something like that. Again, they're making that decision having stepped out of it and saying, that has value for me, and I therefore choose it, as opposed to I'm there because someone told me I have to be, and I have no reason why I'm doing it, right? So it feels very different. So some of them will choose to go back to high school. Some, and some will choose to go to college. Some will choose to go to community college. Some will choose to go to vocational school. But 70% of members in centers like these do choose some sort of formal follow-on type of education. Of the other 30%, it's a mix between entrepreneurs. It's there are people who become professionals in the arts, musicians and artists. Ken Danford, when he gave his TED Talk, he's the founder of the North Star model, says he has, you know, one of his former graduates who's a professor at Harvard, and he has one former member who is a professional contortionist on a cruise ship. And both are equally as happy and successful and measure their lives as fulfilled. And so that's really what we're about, is helping these guys find whatever path is meaningful for them and know that the path to a meaningful future comes directly through a meaningful present. You can't get there without going through meaningful now. Otherwise, you just turn out to be a 48-year-old who at the last minute decides to open a self-directed education center because all the paths she's chosen turned out to not be really what she wanted to do after all. So our hope is to help these guys be able to be inspired to discover whatever it is now and know how to change course on a dime as the desire or need rises. Do we have any other questions from the computer folks? No. Any other questions from the group? Any final thoughts?
I forgot. Jack said something before. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah.
But Jack said something before that was probably my biggest fear. He said something about going to 7-Eleven.
Oh.
So as we're sitting in Wegmans, and Andrea is like, "What's an open thing?" I'm from near Woodstock. I got the hippie thing, and I'm thinking, I don't know what to do with that, because all I can think is, I'm not gonna tell you what I think. But I can think of lots of things, as you said, lots of things could go wrong with it. And they didn't, and I think one of the things is when you give these guys who have been kind of locked up, locked in, had the thumb on them for a long time, you have to let them be successful. You have to allow them to take those chances. So if anybody out there inside the lab or in here has concerns about that, I think it goes back to the community they've built as well. And I would guess, and I'm not asking anybody how you feel about this, because you don't have to put you on the spot, but I would guess that if there was something going on that was not safe, the community would rally around the person and take care of it. But that really was one of the things that I thought, because calls from the police, because he's got the hair, and people notice. So anyway, that to me was a really great thing. It was not a fear, but I wanted to see this.
Yes, and I think it's fascinating. Two things have happened at Embark. One, on day 2, I'm sitting at a desk doing some work, and I hear the door slam, and I hear sort of these heavy footsteps come up behind me, and I turn around, and there's a cop in full metal jacket. You know, he's all, you know, a cop. And I'm like, oh God, it's day 2 and someone's gotten arrested, huh? That they didn't say that in the seminars I took about starting a self-directed education center. And actually, what the gentleman said to me was, there are a lot of teenagers coming and going from this building, and I thought it was a good idea for me to come and find out exactly what was happening in there. And I was like, oh yeah, good point. I could see how that would be of value. He's like, they're not doing anything wrong. And he looked incredulous when he said that. They're not doing anything wrong. Like they're fine. In fact, they even said hi to me. And again, he looked shocked. And I was like, And he went on to say, tell me, what is this place? He was like looking for the meth lab. I don't know what he was looking for. And he said, tell me what this place is. And when I explained it to him, he's like, oh my gosh, I wish I could just send so many of the kids that I meet up with here. And it would have made an incredible difference for so many of them. And so I feel like, here I was, I saw him coming in. I, as a rule follower that I have always been, never in trouble, seen his cup, and I'm like, oh gosh, what did they do? And it turned out nothing. And the second story was actually just today. One of the kids said to me, the basement at Embark, really a lot of bad things could happen there. It's like, it's a space where if somebody wanted to do something wrong, they could. And I was like, yeah, they probably could. And that was the conversation. Because it was clear. Why would they say that to me, really, if they were thinking about it? They'd be like, she's too dumb to know something bad could happen in the basement. But there's no need to engage that way because they have the freedom and to make those choices and to also bear the consequences of their choices. The funniest part is when we sit in history, I will often challenge them with some pretty out there kinds of points of view. And one of the things we brought up recently was we talked about anarchy. And Will, would you like to make a comment on that? We'll have a lot of thoughts about anarchy. And so here I am talking about anarchy and talking about the rights of children to vote. Do you think kids should have the rights? And these guys are more tyrants of children than I ever would be. They're like, yes, of course children. No, children should never be able to vote. They would never do this right. And this person, if they do that, they should be punished. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, people are so worried that if we give kids freedom, that they're just going to run off and do nothing. But actually, they've got good heads on their shoulders. And they think deeply, they think passionately about things. They love to engage in intellectual dialogue. There's nothing that gets us more excited than when that happens. And they also need help sometimes. And that's what we try to do. We don't always do it well, but we try.
One thing I wanted to mention is that in my work with the members at Embark is I start my relationships with the teenagers, giving them my trust and giving them my respect. And we start that way from day one. And so there's no reason why Will should walk to the 7-Eleven or hang out in the basement, because I trust him and I respect him. And majority of the time that's not going to change from the members that we're working with. And I think this population is adolescents don't typically receive a lot of that in our society. And I have found they are extremely receptive to that. So, and give right back. You're not related to them, they give it right back.
Aileen?
So I just have a couple of comments for the end. The first parent meeting that we had, Andrew made a comment about how really grateful, it was the end of that first meeting, how really grateful these kids are for their parents and for the choices they've been given. And I think a lot of that comes from the respect and the kind of making that leap of faith and trying something that's completely different, really giving them the benefit of the doubt, the opportunity to try that. And I think it's really that mentor relationship that they have with the adults and Embark that really is the core of that. So it's not a therapy session, but a lot of the things that they work on, some of them are little tiny things that really are big things in the scheme of life. And some of them are big things, like Grace working on creating a nonprofit. Like that's a huge thing for somebody to be able to do. When she started there, she probably had been there for a week and a half or something and decided that it would be really fun to have a music lyrics class. So she teaches a class on music lyrics on Mondays. But that kid who couldn't raise her hand in an English class or ask a question of a teacher in a class, who had to do everything through email or just wanted to blend in and not be made the center of attention, to want to engage with these other kids and teach class is really huge. And my last comment is, so there's a mom that I know through Middlebury Academy who's here, and she saw Grace so she saw Grace like through the process of Middleburg, and we ran into each other at Christmas time at Five Below and said hi, and she said, Grace is positively glowing. She's so, like, she really saw in like a 2-minute conversation, saw this huge difference in her. And we walked away and Grace went, do I look different? Do I look that different? Do I seem that different? And then we ran into each other at Giovanni's recently too and talked about it some more. But I think that's really significant for somebody who, just to make that, to notice that difference in somebody is really significant to see what a change, giving them the freedom to do this and make their own choices and be independent. I mean, it could be catastrophic, but I think with the right amount of support, it really is very enabling. It's very, not enabling in a bad way, but really empowering to them to be able to make those choices and make those life changes. And I will say on the 7-Eleven front, of course, the day Grace decided to go to 7-Eleven, please do follow them back to Embark. Absolutely, first day.
All right. Well, we are approaching quickly the 8:30 period where we're wrapping up. So I want to just make sure there are no other questions. Does anyone have any? Okay. Well, again, first of all, if we could just give a round of applause to these guys. And that, of course, I'm sure made it even better. I'm just asking for that. So thank you guys for being willing to share your stories and put yourself out there. I appreciate that. And I'll be sticking around for a few minutes. If anybody has any questions about Embark, there are a few brochures and information you're welcome to collect. And also my business card, don't hesitate to call with questions. Stop by for a visit. We're not open on Wednesdays, so don't stop by on Wednesdays. But otherwise, yeah, stop by. We would love to have you join us and spend a day with us and see what things are like. So thanks again for coming.
Thank you.